Bruce Lee, the very name conjures up an idea, an image of mind, body, spirit excellence. Mind, body, soul working in conjunction. You see, Bruce Lee was a man of many parts. He died at just the age of 33, but by then he had become one of the most famous people in the world ever. He transformed not only the martial arts, but the whole space of film about martial arts. And on top of all that, at his essential core, he was a deep mystic philosopher, a deep prober into the spiritual truth of life. And he brought this into action through his films, through his martial art philosophy, and so on. Through his whole philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, his martial art, and to go beyond all forms, to look for truth itself. His mystic philosophy rose from two primary means. One is, of course, the traditional Taoism of China, the way of Wu Wei, effortless effort, being your natural self, not being bounded by any style, finding your own style. In a way reminiscent of what Krishna tells Arjun, to find his swadharma, to find his own way, his own path. And the other part of Bruce Lee's mystical interest really stemmed from the famous mystic philosopher J. Krishnamurti. J. Krishnamurti, of course, exemplified the very highest Vedanta itself. He avoided the jargon of Vedanta, but J. Krishnamurti personified what the Upanishad said in essence, and that was his whole message. Negation of the unessential, seeking out the highest truth. And J. Krishnamurti at the same time signified the depth of Gautam Buddha's new teaching adapted for a new age. So Bruce Lee is a product of really deep probing into these mystical paths. And Bruce says something which sums up in essence his mystic philosophy for us to understand how to attain this mind, body, soul excellence, how to move towards it, how to be dynamic, how to find greatness in all that we do, in the quality of our being and achievement and so on. So Bruce says, empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. When you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water into the teapot, it becomes the teapot. When you pour water into the pitcher, it becomes the pitcher. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be like water, my friend. So Bruce tells us that it is this approach to be like water, which is the essence not only of martial art, but the art of life itself, the art of being itself. Be like water, my friend. Adapt. Don't be fixed, don't be rigid. Find the deepest part of yourself, dissolve into a beautiful flow. That quality of flow is the essence of Chinese Taoism and is the essence of Indian Vedanta. Both at the same time. And that way Bruce Lee is a confluence of ancient teachings adapted for a modern context. Who would have thought that a martial artist would be able to bring out the essence of both Taoism and Vedanta in such an intense way? So being like water means flowing into your essential bliss, surrendering your sense of personality, surrendering your sense of style, surrendering your sense of conditioning, breaking free, flowing where life leads you. And so doing, you find great surrender. So doing, you find strength. Real strength is the strength of water. Water can wear away a rock. You see, look at a rock in the river. It gets worn away by the action of the river, by the action of water. So water is really powerful. It seems soft, but it can wear away the hardest substance. And that is the whole philosophy of life, which Bruce Lee tells us to dynamically engage ourselves in. This kind of attitude creates stamina. It creates, on one hand, it creates a sensitivity, but on the other hand, it creates an invulnerability. You become incapable of defeat. Because when you're like water, nothing can cut you. When you're like water, nothing can hurt you. The water will still flow. You see, if you're solid, you can be broken. Water cannot be broken as such. So it is a beautiful, beautiful philosophy where even unprotected, undefended, you become undefeated. It is a magical, magical philosophy which combines all the wisdom of the rishis. Be flexible, be adaptable, flow with nature, be with nature, and the mastery of the Taoist masters such as Lao Tzu, Chuang-Tzu, and others. And in a way, it's the whole basis of Zen philosophy, what later became Zen philosophy in Japan, really, which people like Steve Jobs emulated in a very practical way for their product design at Apple, for example. So it is the idea of flowing as nature is, which is why you'll see in a company like Apple, the whole design aesthetic is not formed out of some solid template of the past. No. It is about finding its own mode of expression. It's finding its own original, its own originality, its own way of expressing instead of being caught up by what has been done in the past. And that is the quality of water. You see, if you observe a river, if you put your foot into the river, the water will move on. So they say you can never put your foot into the same river twice. The water will touch you and move on, and then fresh water will come and touch you and move on. So you think you are put your foot in the same river, but actually what's happening is the dynamism of life is moving on. And that is the way of the cosmos. That is the way of creation itself. Things go from moment to moment new. Find that newness within yourself. Find that freshness within yourself. That is the very taste of Vedanta. That is the very taste of Taoism. And feel fresh every moment. Forget the past moment. That itself is prayer. That itself is enough to take care of the negativities of the past. You see, why does the mind become negative? Why does the mind feel hopeless? Why does the mind feel enclosed? Because you are surrounding yourself with this very solid conditioning. Dissolve it, flow like water. Water has a way of flowing through all cracks, or it has a way of wending itself through all kinds of obstacles. It'll still find a way. So be like that. And that way, if you understand it that way, you'll realize that there are ways to flow out of problems in life. You don't feel trapped. You don't feel bounded. And you know that you are basically in alignment with the flow of the cosmos itself. And that is the whole basis of Taoism. That is the whole basis of Vedanta. That is the whole basis of the essential religion. Essential religion means the religion of wisdom. It does not mean one is Hindu, one is Buddhist and so on. It means the essence of mysticism itself. And that is what both Taoism and Vedanta represent. They represent the essence of wisdom itself. Soul knowledge. The basic communion between heart and soul. The basic communion between the microcosm and the macrocosm. The basic communion between man and God, or man and the divine. And there's no need for God, actually. That's the beautiful part about both Taoism and Vedanta. They don't talk so explicitly about a particular God. They say you can become God-like yourself. If you have this consciousness of being like water, you spontaneously flow unto the greater. So the small river also flows unto the ocean. And there's no effort needed for that. It flows spontaneously into the ocean. So when you're river-like, when you're water-like, you spontaneously flow towards that greater bliss, towards that greater freedom, towards that ocean of greater truth, and you merge in it. So in fact, it is the very basis of finding true enlightenment in life. So at all levels of being, at the mental, at the physical, at the material, and at the spiritual mystical. You'll find that this philosophy of water, the water way as such, is truly the essence of making your energy flow with great dynamism, with great energy, with great power towards the higher. It is a fundamental part of mysticism, this way of water. If you imbibe it, if you make it a quality within yourself, you'll find that you're never disturbed. You can move on. You can go on with ecstasy. And that way you acquire true courage. You acquire true fearlessness. You become flexible. You become fluid and able to move through things. You find a clear-cut path through things. And when you find a clear-cut path through things, you find sheer delight in living itself.